You're watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.
Another week without a big Tom Davis. For those of the listeners who are worried, he hasn't crashed his stunt car. He's just working very hard. He's building a masterpiece. King Gary, watch it when it comes out. New series. Right, this week I'm very, very excited. I've got another one of my mates, but he's a Premier League legendary centre-half. Over 400 games in his career in English football, spanning 19 seasons, across the likes of Cardiff, West Ham and Villa, the Welsh wizard, the Ginger Pele. It is Mr. James Collins. Ginger, how are you, fella?
I'm good, Cole. How are you, mate?
Was that big enough for you?
Yeah, I don't know. I was getting a bit embarrassed then reading that, mate.
Mate, listen, fucking, you are one of the top governors, mate. When I signed for West Ham, we will go into that, but when I signed for West Ham, and you look at the players and I wonder what he's like. First game, you've just banged 2 in against Man United.
Yeah.
Remember?
I was talking to my son about that earlier on. He was going, I'm on with Coley. He was like, remember that game when he, I think it was your first game back, wasn't it?
My first game back, yeah.
Yeah, whipped them both in. Both slid off my head into the top corner. 2 nice headers, mate.
Off the old slaphead, mate. Love it.
Exactly, mate.
All right, Gene, I don't know if you've listened to this, but we get into a bit of your career. We're going to get into a bit of your West Ham, your Villa time, but mate, the Welsh national team, which is, you had that massive 2016. Just quickly, mate, from Cardiff, because I think we talked about this, but you come down from Cardiff and you got dropped off into West Ham, into the heart of Essex. How was that for a young Welsh man into that sort of Buckhurst, Loughton?
I didn't know what hit me, Coley. You can imagine. I was just moved out of my mum and dad's house, bought my own house back home in Wales, and then got the move to Cardiff. I was lucky, obviously they signed me and Danny Gabardon together, so I had my mate there as well. That sort of made it a bit easier. But mate, honestly, my eyes lit up as soon as I got on that M25, mate, up from Cardiff. That was it, and I loved it ever since.
Mate, I mean that time like I said, with Gabs, you formed a great partnership. 21 Ginger when you come down.
Yeah.
Straight into the Essex life. Who was the senior players in the dressing room that took you under their wing?
To be fair, Coley, looking back, we didn't have that many. Obviously it was Alan Pardew was the manager. We had a very young squad. Anton Ferdinand, Nigel Reo-Coker was captain at the time, very young. Just caught the back end of Don Hutchinson, those sort of boys. Nomi was still there at the time. So those sort of lads, but they were sort of getting filtered out. So I came into the dressing room that was relatively young, but a real good set of lads. Made us feel welcome. The banter was brilliant, and the boys were enjoying their football. So it was for me, it was one of my fondest times looking back. Obviously, it was such a big move into London, but then to go into a dressing room with the lads were just top draw was something special that I always look back on. Yeah,
listen. I knew of you in the town. We have your mutual friends. You found the pubs and the nightlife in Essex quite well. The old favourite haunt, New Bar.
Yeah, mate.
Classic. You're a legend of New Bar.
Yeah, I think I had a few shirts on the wall in there over the years, mate. The amount, especially in the early days, the amount of time I spent in there. Just slipped in, mate. Just found everything about it. The people around Essex, the West Ham fans took to me straight away. I don't know if it was the way I played or the way the lad I sort of was. Pretty old school, pretty normal lad off the pitch, and they just embraced me, and I swallowed it up. To be honest, I loved every part of living in London and playing for West Ham.
Yeah, mate. Listen, when I think of you, Ginger, I don't think of until you speak. I think of you just as an East London boy because, like you said, the fans just embraced you, didn't they? And obviously, I was at Chelsea at the time, but my pals are West Ham, so I used to come over and watch. And obviously, you should watch your team, and like you said, Reo-Coker and Anton, and it's a young team. But they just took to you, mate, and it's like a second home. And how was that period of your career? Was that your most favourite part, do you think?
Yeah, definitely my most favourite part. Like I said, I can only, what it's like, Cody. I think I can only put it down to, I've no bones about it. I certainly wasn't the best player to ever play for West Ham, but every time I played, I'd done my best. I wore me out on the sleeve, and that's what sort of the fans like, working class lad who's come in and enjoying every minute of it. And I think that's what the fans like. Like I said, I left everything on the pitch every time I pulled that West Ham shirt on, and still to this day, mate, I get West Ham fans on my Instagram and everything, just saying how much they appreciate what I did for the club and the way I played the game.
Yeah, and I think you've underplayed yourself on the ball, Ginge, as well, because you could handle the ball. You can't play Premier League for as long as you have without being handled. You was no problem on the ball. And
No, I could.
I remember the story now. I don't know if you remember this, but when I went and played, you got left out of the squad and out of the team, and we got fucked off with Ian Hendon to do the 11 aside, and you was raging. And I could see your head, and I was like, Ginge.
Yeah, you pulled me.
Listen, calm down. You're like, fuck him, whatever. Like, and he set up this like unopposed session, and you had it in your head that you were so angry you were just going to boot the ball away.
Yeah.
But every time you tried to boot it away, it was like he turned into Glenn Hoddle, and you weren't happy with the banter. You tried to kick it out of the swing, and it was going 60 yards onto someone's toe that way.
I was even swinging my left foot at some of them, and they were going to my own players. It was the best session I've ever done, mate.
I remember I was pissing myself laughing because I could see what you were trying to do. But I was like,
mate, talking about like being on the ball and that, I remember playing next to Gabs. He was, like I said, I don't want to do myself an injustice. I could play but Gabs was silky. He just reminded me of Rio. Do you know what I mean? That sort of centre half. So we'd be playing like, especially down in Cardiff, and I'd boot the ball into the stand, get rid of it. Do you know what I mean? The old school one. Gabs would turn to me and go, I'd go to Gabs. Don't worry, Gabs, they can't score out there, mate. The ball's in the stand. They can't score from there. Gabs would look at me and go, Ginge, we're fucking 2-0 down, mate. We need the ball on the pitch.
I remember. So you and Gabs, you had that season.
Yeah.
You said you weren't in it. Anton played. Malky, Christian coming to the end. But you got to an FA Cup final, Ginge. Talk to me about that, mate. Because for West Ham, and West Ham fans will listen to this, obviously, because you're on, that was like the holy grail, that game.
Yeah.
My
Coley, it was in Cardiff as well. Can you imagine my family, mate? The amount of tickets I had to get for that game. I think I did 100 grand on tickets.
And you're signing on for your tickets.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of a mad one because we had a great run in it, and I played in the run-up, and we played Middlesbrough at Villa Park in a semi-final. Yeah. And me and Anton were sort of in and out. And it gets to the semi-final, we win 1-0. Anton plays right back, I play centre-half. So get to the night before the game, Pars is doing his meeting, he leaves me out at the cup final. And I'd done really well in the semi and that. And he played Anton back at centre-half, and he played Scaloni at right back.
And he made the rick, didn't he?
And he ricked it, mate, yeah. And I was obviously fuming I wasn't playing. But like not fuming enough. I was never one of them that would be fuming to show it to the lads. You know what I mean? FA Cup final. I was deep down. I was fuming, and because I'd done so well. And then he plays Lionel right back and Scaloni right back and Anton at centre half, and he up for the equaliser last minute. So yeah, but honestly,
Lionel had a Lionel.
He did, mate. All you had to do, Coley, you watch it back. All you had to do is let him run out for a goal kick.
Mate, for people listening, when it's footballers and it's big games like that and things like that happen, I bet every time you watch that, you sort of like, if you catch it on telly, you'll be like, just kick it away. You feel like you can change time, don't you? I've had so many big games where I've done something stupid, or someone in the team's done something stupid, and it's cost us, and it's just haunts you, don't it? You know what I mean? Because I mean, looking at the West Ham team now, like from afar. Obviously, we speak to Nobes and that. They're just having it off at the moment. Everything's working for them. And what do you make of this current crop?
I think a lot needs to come down to the manager. Not all of it. Obviously, the players have been fantastic, but I think certainly when I left and then Pellegrini come in, I sort of looked at that squad and I thought, obviously you had the backbone Nobes and the British lads who you know what you're going to get for, but I just find them a bit wishy-washy. Do you know what I mean? Under Pellegrini, and I don't think they're really up for the fight and stuff like that, and the mentality wasn't right. And then to be fair to Moisey, because I worked with him when he came in the first time, Moisey, I thought he was brilliant. Yeah, how he was like on the training pitch and how regimented he was with set plays and stuff like that. Yeah. And he came in straight away after Pellegrini, and he just changed it all. He got rid of the bad eggs, or what seemed like bad eggs. Do you know what I mean? You get them in the dressing room, Cody. Do you know the ones that a little bit of poison, saying stuff when they ain't playing, and it ain't good for a team. And it seemed like Moisey got them out, and it looks like they've got the best team spirit since I've seen since probably I left. You know what I mean? Not since I left, as in that sort of team spirit, that togetherness, us against the world sort of mentality we had. Yeah. And I think it comes down to the manager. I think Nobes does a massive job there behind the scenes. You know what I mean? He's a manager's dream, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Having him in the dressing room.
100%. He's as good as I said this. I've said it on there. I mean, I've played with some of the. I've been blessed. I've played with some of the greats. In England, like John Terry, the great captains. David Beckham for England, Stevie G. Nobes listen, Nobes wouldn't even. Oh, he's not that level of player.
Yeah.
But in terms of influence on a dressing room and our importance to a club, Nobes is up there because you said he sets the tone, don't he, in the dressing room? And having Moisey in there, they've just got it right at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's.
You in your prime would slip right into that West Ham team. You'd be having a great time, middle of the back three.
Yeah. Well, I got to play in the middle because I can't run.
And what you spraying them about like in that session?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the one. That was a one-off. That
Ginge, the next season or the couple of seasons, I can't think losing my bearings, but the Great Escape season. So West Ham, the Icelandic owners come in, sign Tevez and Mascherano, two of the best young players in world football. Shady dealings. East London knows all about them, but they come in, and still to this day, like. They didn't settle straight away, didn't it? I was thinking he's playing Hayden instead of Mascherano. Hayden's a good player, but Mascherano went on to be one of the greats. Marlon and who's a very good player, but head of Tevez, who went on to be one of the top players. So, but they got yourselves into trouble. And then talk to me about that Great Escape, the last 7 or 8 games, because looking from afar, like I said, as an ex-West Ham player, I remember looking at your fixtures going, they're doomed, and you'd done it. So how was that?
Well, it was mad because everyone thought we were doomed. Do you know what I mean? I think I always say it is in the last 9 or 10 games. I think we went away to. It was mad. We should never. Everyone says it. Who gets relegated or almost relegated. We should never been in that position, but we were. We weren't good enough. I think we had a bit of a hangover from the FA Cup final. Pards got sacked. Curbs came in.
Yeah.
It was all a bit of a mix-up, obviously, with signing Tevez and Mascherano. Everyone was like, where have these two boys come from? Turn up, and it's all a bit mad. And then we get down to the last 10 games. And we go away to Blackburn. We get a scabby win. I think Bobby Zamora scores a goal, and we nick a 1-0 goal. It wasn't. Nick a 2-1. Sorry. And then it just rolled, mate. We were keeping clean sheets. I think looking back, Tevez gets all the plaudits scoring these goals, but I think we conceded. We got 6 clean sheets out of the last 9 games or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Championship winning form, isn't it?
We went to the Emirates. Like that's
the game.
Do you know what I mean? It's not luck because you're going there to defend and score, but they had 38 shots on goal that game, Cody, and we won 1-0.
How many did you block? I reckon you blocked about 36 of them.
Yeah, well, Robert Green had the best game of his life that day, and he didn't have many. So, but stuff like that, and then obviously clean sheets. We beat Everton at home 3-0, who were cooking at the time, and we had Lucas Neal there. I don't know, West Ham fans probably won't look back at Lucas really and think what a good player, but on and off the pitch, those last 10 games, he was phenomenal. The stuff he was doing, meetings, motivational meetings, sort of stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And he was brilliant. And we had a set of lads. There was no, in those last 10 games, there was no tactical genius from Curbs. There was no like working hard working at this on the training pitch and doing this. It was pretty much your good players go out there, defend well, and try and get a win. And that's what we've done. Bobby Zamora doesn't get enough credit. That he scored 4 massive goals in the run in there. Obviously everyone talks about Tevez, but Bobby was unbelievable. He was unplayable for the last 10. Defending really well. And then obviously it all culminates in going to Old Trafford and getting one of the most unbelievable and just 1-0 wins I think I've ever been involved in.
Mate, it was unbelievable. And talk about players like Lucas Neal. I don't know Lucas, but I know of him, but fans don't see that type of character or the sort of influence they have. And our footballers, when we talk, are important. When you look back at them type of people them players they just keeping together. Kevin Nolan was another one. He was brilliant in the dressing room, Kevin, wasn't he? He was like he was
unbelievable for our squad, wasn't he?
Yeah. No, so go on, June.
And like you say, that's the stuff that the fans don't see. Do you know what I mean? Especially. Like the older boys, that's why Nobes will be unbelievable at West Ham next year. Signing his next year. Nobes knows he ain't going to play every game. He'll play a couple of cup games and he'll come in, but he'll be unbelievable in that dressing room for that group of lads. And that's what I've always been lucky at West Ham. I've worked under Nobes, Kev Nolan, and Lucas Neal. Probably I put them down as 3 of the best captains I've ever worked for. Not just what they've done on the pitch, but what they did around the club and in the dressing room for the other players around them.
Yeah, that's important, mate. That's important. We was there when Faubert went to Real Madrid.
No, man, I just left. And I think I remember turning to Nobes phoning me up going, how's this key? His agent's Paul Daniels or something here. First game falls a kip on the bench, did he, or something?
Yeah, I mean, Nobes says a great story about it. He says Zola was in charge and he's like, you know when you go to a away game and you got like 16, the bare 16 and they'd sold him that morning. The lads went asleep and then Julian weren't there for the pre-match meal, and so Franco's had to tell the lads Loeb said he couldn't keep a straight face. Trying to say, we want to go with 15 today, lads, because we sold Julian Faubert to Real Madrid. Like the lads started having it.
Nobes thought it fell off his seat, I think.
Yeah, he said he couldn't believe it. He said he's one.
No, I've never seen a man cross so many balls down the Barking Road in all my life. He used to hit the ball so hard that it'd go nowhere near where he was meant to be putting it.
Hey, listen, he's laughing.
He's pulled to move to Madrid.
Hey, yeah, fella kip on the bench. Good luck to him.
Oh,
Good luck
mate,
to him.
Unbelievable.
Ginge, I like when I get defenders on because I think you guys, you're marking the Henrys, the Ronaldos, the Rooneys. Who was your toughest opponent of all your over 400 games?
Mate, I say it every time. I get asked, you can imagine you get that as a centre half, you get asked this all the time. And it's one of your mates.
Go on.
Didier Drogba, mate.
Yeah?
Every time. I think you had a spell every time of beating us 4-1. It always seemed to be 4-1 when we played you boys. And I never got nervous before a game or think about, right, I'm playing against so-and-so today or, you know, what am I going to do against him? But every time Drogba, like the night before, I was thinking, I've got big Didier tomorrow, body bar. And he just used to pull my pants down every time, goalie. Like, taught a lesson. He just had everything, didn't he?
He did.
Strong, movement, finishing. Just had the lot. And, yeah, I always struggled against him. Obviously, I played against some absolute worldies, do you know what I mean? Like Henry's and Shearer and Michael Owen and that. But the opponent I had my toughest time against for sure was Big Didier. He just had me on toast.
Like during the list, like I've seen him do things to the centre halves, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what he used to do? And I don't know if he did this on purpose, but he used to have his shirt off in the dress in the tunnel on the way out, lathered up, like watered up. He looked like an Adonis.
Yeah.
And I should look. He'd be in the tunnel when he'd just be, you know, he was a proper man, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I look round and I'd look at him and I think, oh, squeaky bum time boys for the centre.
But he'd come out with his top off. I'd have mine off, and I'm thinking, I better put mine on. I've had 15 pints last weekend. I don't think Big Didier has.
Mate, Ginge, I've seen him do some naughty things to some of the best centre halves in Europe.
Yeah.
We played Bayern Munich in the quarter-final of the Champions League. What he done to Lucio, mate, a World Cup winner, was like, it was illegal. I thought the old Bill would start. He was like, because we used to mix it up a bit. We used to play, and then sometimes first we scored early on in the game. It's gone up to him. He's knocked it down. We scored, and then he bullied and then you think, oh, let's do that again. Bang. We just turned into Wimbledon from the 90s for the game because he was just. And Lucio, you could see he's pulling his hair out. He couldn't. When he was on form, you're right. He was unplayable.
Especially against those centre halves, the Brazilian boys, and they're not used to that. Do you know what I mean? I used to love that, Coley.
Yeah.
Give me a big centre forward over a little quick one all day, and I'll have a battle with him and that. And you try and get in a battle with him, and you just you'd come off feeling like he was like a 12-year-old boy, just being absolutely handed to you. Do you know what I mean? Had everything. But like I said, I played against some of the world's best, but him just sticks out a mile for me. What he, how tough it was against him.
Yeah, no, fair point, mate. Don't worry, you won't be the first.
I was going to say that I won't be the only one.
Listen, Ginge, I'm glad we're on Zoom and not near you, mate. The boys in the office are asking me to ask you about the Berbatov skill, and did the lads give you a bit after it?
Do you know what, Cody? Right, they didn't, because
no. Well, I would have decided.
I know. Well, no, not because of that. Do you know what? I remember it like it was yesterday. I think the ball's going out of play anyway to start with. So I'm sort of half jogging over, half thinking, he ain't getting that, bloody bar. And then I get there and thinking, right, he can't do nothing here. I've got him. Do you know what I mean? And before I know it, he's gone past me and crossed it, and Ronaldo's tapped it in. So I know what he's done. So I've gone in at half time, and Zola's hammering me. All the boys are like hammering me, Cody, and he didn't have that, Franco. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bloody bar. I went, boss, just before you carry on, let's go have a little look at the laptop and see what he's done for me, what he's done to me. Do you know what I mean? Thinking, and I know, and Franco loved a bit of skill and all that. Do you know what I mean? He went over and had a little, after he'd said his piece, went over and had a little look, and he come back. Franco, bless him, shook my hand and went, "Sorry, Ginge." You know what I mean? Just because he was that sort of player himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He just not loved it because we were 2-0 down.
Yeah.
But he appreciated the skill and what he actually did, rather than me ambling out there like a big donkey and not sorting it out. But
it was a great bit of skill.
He come over and shook my hand, bless him, and it was phenomenal what he done. I still don't know how he done it, to be honest.
He was too nice to be the manager, Franco. Was you in the was you training in that time? The lads were telling me when he's joined in, and he's go on, tell us that story.
Coley, it's come to a point, right? I'll go back to that story. It's come to a point with Franco. Me and Nobes we're having a full-blown serious conversation about knocking on his door and asking him to play on a Saturday. What he was doing, I think Matt, first day training, he's in. He's got his boots on. He looks phenomenal, Barnett and all that. So he comes in. Matty Upson, centre half at the time. I think he was skipper at the time at West Ham. Ball gets played up to Franco. He does some mad little roll on Matty Upson, puts him on his arse, and dinks Rob Green, our goalkeeper. And we're like struggling at the time. We're thinking the gaffer's absolutely ruining our confidence here. It was just off the charts what he was doing. And I swear to God, that's Nobes. We was close to knocking on his door and asking him to play on a Saturday. He was that good.
He was some player, wasn't he? Some player.
What a fella as well. Do you know what I mean? You don't meet people like that in football too often. Do you know what I mean? Just come in and say you'd lost on a Saturday. He wouldn't all be football doom and gloom like some managers on a Monday. He'd ask you how your family was, how the kids were. Do you know what I mean? And sort of not take the pressure off, because pressure's always on being a Premier League footballer. But he just broke it up. He was just an absolute gentleman.
Yeah, he was, mate. Still is a gentleman.
I
wish him well, whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
So Ginge, it comes to the point. Aston Villa, mate. What talk to me about that time of your life? What was you thinking?
Yeah, Ed was all over the gaff, I must admit, Coley, to be fair. I was playing all right. I started the season really well. I think we went to Wolves, Nobes scored, we got a win. And then a couple of games in, playing really well. And Franco and Steve Clark called me and said, we've accepted a bid off Stoke to start with.
Right.
So I didn't fancy it, didn't want to leave. Loved it. Like you say, everyone knows I loved my time in London, loved the club.
Did they explain to you? Was you playing in the team at the time?
I was in the team, mate. I was in the team. And
they've accepted it?
Yeah, the only sort of explanation I got, mate, looking back, was that the banks had gone. Eggert had done his dough.
Right.
And the club were banging Russia, basically, banging trouble.
Yeah.
And I could be getting this wrong, but I remember having a conversation with basically saying they needed the £5.5 million.
Right.
And it was sort of, by then, I was a West Ham fan. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And loved the club. But then I'm also thinking, I'm after doing the club a favour. Do you know what I mean? Didn't want to go. Obviously, my missus Samantha was from Loughton, loved everything that's down there. But yeah, Stoke come in, 5 mil or something like that. And I was still close with Matty Evenden from my time at West Ham. It was at Stoke at the time. And Tony Pulis was from Newport, back home where I'm from. So it sort of appealed to me. Do you know what I mean? The way they played. Do you know what I mean? I was a bit of an old school defender, would have slipped in there nicely. So I went up and spoke to him. And you must have had it, clubs you've gone to. I just didn't get that. Didn't get the feeling. Do you know what I mean? Up there, I don't know if it was no disrespect, like the area, or I don't know that. Like, Big Cyril Regis was my agent at the time. God bless him. Yeah. And he went to me, Ginger, ask a few questions. Ask Tony Pulis what you do in training, blah blah blah. Ask the boys. And just something didn't sit right, Cody. No disrespect to Tony Pulis or nothing like that. It just didn't. I think back in my mind, obviously, I didn't want to leave West Ham. So I turned down Stoke. I come back down to West Ham and spoke to Gianfranco and Steve Clark. And they were like, fair enough, you're back, blah, blah, blah. Crack on. And then literally a day later, Big Cyril phones me, Aston Villa on. And that was like a different kettle of fish. Do you know what I mean? They'd finished 5th, 6th 3 times in a row, get into like semi-finals of big competitions and that. As much still I didn't want to go, Coley, it was the right decision. Do you know what I mean? For West Ham and for me to go at the time. And I went up and lucky enough to bump into some of my closest friends in football and work for Martin O'Neill, which as a manager at that time was absolutely perfect for me.
Yeah. You had a hell of a team, didn't you, at that time?
Yeah, mate, unbelievable.
I remember at one point you were really knocking on the door.
Yeah.
And you had a great partnership with Big Dunny. And I mean, I never played with Richard Dunn, but I played against him many, many times. And like you and him were solid back there.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's very similar to yourself. He was a defender first and foremost, weren't he? You two were a nightmare to play with. Was that you think? Was that not the best partner? Because I know we don't like that question, but you seem to me like at that time in your career, you and him were just. Was that your best? Not your best football, but your best partnership. Did you like playing with Dunny?
Loved it, mate. From the minute we signed on the same day, they signed. They Aston Villa nicked Richard Dunn, and I think he gets such a disservice, Coley, for
underrated player.
Underrated for the player he was, mate. He was a big lad. Don't get me wrong. He's probably 100 kilo or whatever, but he could shift, mate.
Yeah,
he had everything. He was strong in the air. He was a phenomenal player, and I don't think he ever got the credit he really deserved. But I think Villa nicked him for like $5 million. He won Player of the Year 5 years on the bounce or something at City, and obviously obviously the big dough come in, and he's not the attractive sort of, do you know what I mean, footballer that they were after, and we nicked him, and like I said, both sat in the reception at Bodymore Heath at Villa, and just hit it off. Was it like that?
What's that Will Ferrell film, Step Brothers? Did we just become best friends?
But we was talking about having a pipe before we was talking about signing for Aston Villa.
Peas in a pod, mate.
Mate, honestly, two absolute, peas in a pod. You couldn't put it any better. Played the same, just instantly hit it off the pitch. We both stayed in the Belfry together, and it was just a special bond, special relationship. Like, I didn't want to let him down, he didn't want to let me down, sort of thing. And I never forget, we signed for Villa, Coley, just quick. We signed for Villa, Martin O'Neill. He was, as you know, he's not a tactical genius or anything like that. He just had like you said, we had a phenomenal team. He had a set of lads that were good footballers, knew what they were doing. So we signed on the Thursday, deadline day, and we're playing we got Birmingham Derby on the Sunday. So we're in the meeting Saturday night, blah, blah, blah. Martin's doing a little thing, very little words, just probably watch a video, blah, blah, blah. So after it, me and Danny, first meeting, he's gone, you two, any questions? Big Richie's gone, Big Danny's gone, yeah, boss, sorry, just what do we do from defensive set plays? Just so me and Ginge know, do you know what I mean? First game. You know, are we man marking? Are we zone or what we doing? He went, right, I'll tell you what we'll do. I signed you two big to head the ball. So you two stand on the 6-yard box and head it. And I kid you not, what, Coley, it's so simple. Like you say that to players now, they'd be like, who is this guy?
I know.
Coley, we conceded one goal all year. Me and Danny sat on the 6-yard box, mate, and just headed everything. As Wally Downs used to say when I was at Aston, when I was at West Ham with him, he used to say on the sideline, chuck an oven in the box and Ginger led it.
He weren't wrong, mate. He weren't wrong.
Mate. So, do you know, like Martin, was so, like I said, not a tactical genius, mate, but just perfect for me. Go out and be a defender. Ginger, you ain't paid to hit these passes. You know, there's boys in front of you, the creative lads. They want more money than you. You win it back, you and Dunny, and give it to the good players. You know what I mean, Cody? But imagine saying that to a centre half now. It'd be like, they think you're mad.
I know. They would. Like I said, I think that's the problem when you look at how football's evolved now. Like the basics. I think the basics of defending. They concentrate too much on, you know, can the centre half receive the ball, drop it into midfield, drop that one. Yes, you want to do that. You want to play football, but the basics are the basics, isn't they?
Yeah.
And you have to do them well.
I used to love nothing more than the headers, the tackles, the clearances. Do you know what I mean? The blocks. That was what I was paid for. I was paid to stop the ball going in the net. Do you know, I wasn't paid to be doing bits of skill and running out from the back and that. Do you know what I mean? I know it sounds old school, and you know I've obviously finished now and that, but I don't being a good centre half, big good defender, Coley. I don't care what club you're at, will never go out of fashion.
No, of course not, mate. And listen,
do you know what I mean?
Look at the impact Ruben Diaz has come in and done at Man City. Good defender, example. First and foremost.
And do you know what, Coley? Look what he's done to John Stones next to him as well.
It's like something clicked with him. Yeah. And he's gone, right, okay, imagine you're coaching John Stones, right? And I'm a big fan of John Stones, and I just, you know, but I was losing faith because mistakes, blah, blah, blah. But I've always loved him because I know he can do it. I've seen him do it. I remember his first game for Everton against us at West Ham, and he marked the big man, and he played him brilliantly. He leant on Andy Carroll, dropped, you know what I mean? kept him high up the pitch, so he can do it. But no, that's what I'm just thinking. Just jumping completely off the tab a little bit. Well, I think people like yourself, you should be in football. If I was West Ham, not so much, Moyes is good defensively, but a club where the defenders are a little bit, maybe Scotty Parker at Fulham, still conceding goals, I'd be get ginging and just work on sessions, on distances, blocks, body shape. I think I think that's a thing for you, Ginge, because there ain't many like you anymore. Do you know what I mean?
I like I say, there is time to play. We all like to play. You want to play football the right way, but like I said, I go back to it, being a good defender, mate. I don't know if it's down to me loving that side of it. It's probably my rugby background, coming from Wales and that, but just love the sort. Sounds a bit old school, like the rough and tumble of it. The having a tussle with the Drogbas and all that, and trying to make your mark on them.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got to play as well. But like I said, I think there's a massive thing in football. You've got to look pretty, and it's got to be like this and it's that. But like I said, being a defender is a job. You're there to stop. I don't care. I never used to care how I'd keep the ball out of the net, Coley. It was just that was what I was there to do.
Yeah,
and that will always be in football.
No, always, mate. Definitely, definitely. So, Ginge, that Villa team, would you say that's the best side you've played in?
By a mile, mate.
Down him.
No disrespect to the teams I played in that, but absolutely by a mile, Coley.
Good team.
You look at that team, mate. It was a proper team. Brad Friedling goals. We had me and Big Dunny, Stevie Warnock. So I mean, at left back, Luke Young, England international at right back.
Yeah.
Stilian Petrov in his pomp, Coley. What a player.
Great player.
Do you know what I mean? What a player. He's our skipper as well. Unbelievable lad on and off the pitch. Another captain that was just brilliant. James Milner would run through a brick wall for you. Sat in there with Stilian Petrov.
Look how Milner's career's gone. Amazing.
Yeah. And then we had like Stewie Downing, got on and played for Liverpool, England. Do you know what I mean? 30 odd caps. Ashley Young on the other wing. And then we had Gabiag Bonlaho, who's the quickest thing on two legs at the time.
Yeah.
And Big John Carew up front, who no one could get near.
Yeah.
He had like Big Emil. Big Emil was there when I was there. Big Emil Heskey was on the bench, like come on and do his stuff. And again, like I said, go back to it. Didn't want to leave West Ham, but look, the team I went into, mate, like it was just a different sort of. Again, no disrespect to any of the West Ham teams, but it was just a different level what I went into there, mate. The training ground. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Driving up with Big Cyril, bless him, and it was just a different thing, mate.
Massive club.
You're watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.
I've been with my wife now 45 years. We're childhood sweethearts. We've been together since we were 16 and 15.
Oh, come on, Joe. You're starting to make me cry now. What's up with you? Jeez,
well, that's the intention, Alan, to make you all cry.
Check out the full video now to find out why Joe is Alan's next winner.
I know you sort of, you're an Essex, we've established you're an East Londoner now at heart. So, and Sam, your lovely wife and your kids, you're all settled in Bishop Stortford. So you sort of split the difference between the two places.
Yeah, exactly.
And when the opportunity to come back, how was that? How did that feel to West Ham?
Mate. I'm away with Villa on pre-season and Nobes phones me out of the blue. Big Nose, what are you phoning me for? Since I left, I hardly spoke to you sort of thing. And he went, Big Sam fancies you back. Coley, I kid you not, when he said that, I was almost going to put my rucksack on the back and swim back to London. I was in Chicago at the time.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have come, that phone call off Nobes couldn't have come at a better time, mate. Honestly, the feeling I had, obviously the wife as well, moving back, what it's like with the girls, you know what I mean? When they've everyone forgets they've got to move around the country with you and that, and you know what the Essex girls are like, they are like, they like it at home, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So to get that move back, mate, and to come and work for Sam Allardyce, who I'd sort of seen from afar and always liked the way he sort of managed. It was a perfect combination at a perfect time.
Did you went back after the promotion? Didn't you?
Yeah. Sam got promoted. Yeah, so I only ever played for West Ham in the Prem, which was mad. Like I left the first time they got relegated. Like I joined after it just come up. When I left, they got relegated the season after, and then I signed back when they came back up.
Yeah, I mean, that team, I said, I know I joined a couple of years later.
Yeah,
if it was a year later, it might have been a year later. I can't remember. And Sam, he's very good at what he does. So coming into that dressing room, and I've known I knew Nobe since he was a boy because he played with my brother.
Of course, yeah.
At West Ham, and I knew a few of the lads. Played with Kev in the 21s a couple of times. But mate, I just loved it. I loved that set of lads coming back to West Ham. It was like coming back home, you know, in the family, and I'm, you know, meeting yourself. And I just, mate, I loved that team. I really enjoyed it.
It was a great time, Coley, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great time, wasn't it?
It was. We had a few. I got carried home in Dubai. Do you want to talk?
Oh, mate, I was going to mention that. It's funny enough. I was speaking to my missus about it the other day. Remember Big Bubs that used to drive us about?
Yeah.
Bubbles, remember the cab driver?
Yeah.
So I remember one of them trips out in Dubai, mate. I've come out mangled, drinking with Big Andy and yourself and Kev Nolan. Do you know what I mean? I like a pint and I can put a pint away, but yeah, it was a heavy one. So I've come out in the middle of Dubai out of this club and I phoned Big Bubs to come and pick me up, Colin. The geezer's in Canning Town and I'm in the middle of Dubai, rolled out of some nightclub and I've got Bubsy, come and pick me up, mate. He went, where are you? I went, I don't know, mate. I'm at a roundabout or something. He went, Ginger, you're in Dubai, mate. I went, yeah, can you get here, though? Absolutely mangled, mate. And
that's brilliant. But Bubsy, I'm surprised he just didn't keep it quiet and just give you the invoice and have 3 days in Dubai picking you up.
He probably did, but he's picked me up. He's picked me up from everywhere, race courses, fucking everywhere. He used to. Honestly, mate, pick me up in some pickles, that geezer.
I loved it. And Sam, just like, he seemed to get, like you said, if you're a centre-half, I mean, listen, it wasn't great for me at the age I was. He played me on the wing. I was like, I can't do that no more. Like, I ain't got that running in behind and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but for a centre-half, I think he's like, if my son was a centre-half, I'd want him to play for Sam because he seemed to work with you
100%.
Consistently.
Remember all those Thursdays we used to do, Coley? He used to take us every Thursday and hopefully when if I get into coaching and that session he used to do, going back to what we was talking about previously about being a good defender, that session that Sam used to do with us, the back four who was going to play on the Saturday, it's the best defensive session I've ever done under any manager. And people from the outside would probably look in and go, it's a bit old school. But it was perfect. Win your headers, good clearances. Do you know what I mean? Getting the ball away from the box. And it was, like I say, people will probably look at Sam and not like the way he played. And certainly for the boys like yourselves who like the ball into feet and stuff like that, we didn't play that way. Obviously, we had Big Andy up front, which was sort of probably a curse and a blessing in a way for Sam because we knew we could bang it up to Big Andy and he could hold it up. But it was a nightmare for you boys who wanted to play. But certainly playing for Sam as a centre-half, I think at Villa was probably my best time as well. I was playing my best football, almost got in the Champions League, FA Cup semi-final, League Cup. But I think coming back to West Ham at probably 28, 29 is probably where I learned my most as a centre-half under Sam.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As in positioning and, like I said, clearances and stuff like that. I learned a lot from Big Richard Dunn. Of course I did, so that stuff. But the nitty-gritty of being a defender, like I said, the 2-3 years I had in the Stam, I think I improved my game massively.
That session of people, like, it was, I mean, we got sent away and we was doing like something fun, like finishing tennis or something. We'd look over and there were you like just getting balls larruped down and just heading it. And
he used to stand me and Big, probably Winston Reid at the time, on the edge of the 18-yard box, right? You'd get every other defender with a ball up on the halfway line and just lump balls at us.
Yeah.
And you'd have to head these balls. And if you headed a good one, he would be absolutely, do you know, if you cleared it up to the halfway line, he would be absolutely buzzing, Coley.
Yeah.
It was like you scored a goal or something. Do you know what I mean? He'd be like, don't worry, Ginge, only 20 more. We'll get the paracetamol out when we get into the dressing room and that. It just, like I said, it seems old school, Coley, but it is what it was. It was what it was. Yeah,
but all of his teams have always defended well. So, I mean, you've got to look at it like that. I remember my first session with him just before the Man United game when you scored.
Yeah.
And I've got it off of the right back and turned that and tried to just like ping it out wide with the outside of me right. I've just heard his whistle. What's going on here? What's he want? We don't do that here, son. As the ball comes into you see that beach grass over there? Just drop it in there and then we'll get up the pitch. I thought, for f***'s sake, what's my...
Mate, saying that though, how mad was he on his stats and that?
Mate.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
brilliant.
People don't see that. He was mad for a stat, wasn't he?
I know.
He'd know that 40% of goals come from a throw-in or something like that, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And
he simplified it, didn't he, Ginge? He simplified it. And he made it so right. So I remember he brought it down into 8-game spells. We had Kevin Davis on, and he said the same thing. He must have been doing the same things with
Same
Bolton.
thing everywhere. Yeah.
I think with a certain group of players, like to do a certain job, it's why he's been brought in at West Brom. I'm not sure it'll work now, but if a certain group of players,
you need the players to buy into it, Coley, don't you? Yeah, exactly.
I don't think, and that's what I'm going to do a bit on BT about this. I don't think the players that Sam needs today to do these jobs, like yourself, like Richard Dunn's, Kevin Nolan's, Randy Carroll's, the players who I don't think they exist anymore. That type of player who could buy into that. So I think, listen, I just think that's why at West Brom he hasn't. I don't think going out in the transfer window. I don't know where them players are. Honestly, who buy into it. I really don't.
No disrespect. Like that's what I'm saying. Like people don't want to play like that, do they? Do you know what I mean?
No, but they're not brought up like that. The academy systems.
That's not how people play football now. Which is not how. Sam Allardyce is a results man, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? He would play any team in any way to get 3 points on a Saturday, whether it's 1-0, 4-3. He wants 3 points, and he finds a way. Like I said, the players have got to buy into it, but he finds the way of doing it. Like I said, I'm not sure. It doesn't look like he's got them players at West Brom, so I don't think it's going to work, unfortunately.
No. And football's evolved.
Yeah.
Football's evolved. Ginge, quickly go on international week now.
Yeah.
You know, you talk to me, watching from Euro 2016 from afar. You're part of the squad. Talk to me about that, because you look like a camaraderie within it. You lost to England, but you qualified first in the group. Is that right?
Yeah, we topped the group, mate. Yeah,
topped the group.
Yeah, getting there, mate. We had him in a group, and obviously when the games got brought out, we were playing England's second game, and it was like, wow, that's the big game. But we never spoke about it. Do you know what I mean? And going back to your original sort of question, that group of lads we had, mate. You don't see. Before that or after that, I don't think I've ever been involved in an international setup where you've had a group of lads that it was like playing for a club team.
Yeah,
it was Cody. I kid you not, mate. It was incredible. The bond that we had. Cookie, Chris Coleman, the manager, and his staff were massive in that. I don't know if you know Cookie or ever worked with him or whatever.
No.
What a fella, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, football man, as in. Bit old school, do you know what I mean? But I had good people around him and just a top fella. And we just had this sort of, we come up with a slogan. It was like "Together Stronger," which sounds a bit naff and a bit cliche in that, but it just summed us up perfectly as a group of players. It was like going into a club team, and we had good lads, you know, like proper hard workers. And obviously we had Gareth Bale, and we had 2 world-class players that we knew if us other 8-9 players behind them were solid and did our jobs, we had these 2 boys that could win games from anything.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done in qualifying, and that's how we got there in the first place.
Mate, like looking from an England perspective, I'd finished my England career by then, but almost looked at it with jealousy. Like, I want to take what you had at Wales and put it into England, which we've never had until I think now some semblance of it now.
Yeah. We
never had it as players, and for whatever reason, but you said you need the right manager like a Coleman. Yeah. Realised that, mate, and you nearly did it. Like, and by the way, you had some good players as well, Ginger.
Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, we did. Yeah, like Joe Allen. Do you know what I mean? He was
good player.
What a player! I mean, how he's still playing at Stoke, I don't know. I know he's had his injuries and that, but what a player! Like I said, I can only put it down to Cody. It was like I don't know. It was like the biggest, like, brotherhood, if you like. Do you know what I mean? No one wanted to let anyone down. There was none of this club sort of rivalry or anything like that you hear that used to go on at England. Yeah. And just loved playing for our country. Loved everything about it. Do you know what I mean? The gaffer made it nice. You hear about these training camps that were like regimented and blah, blah, blah. No one's out. We used to meet up and he'd let us go out. Like, we weren't training on a Monday. He'd meet up on a Sunday. Cookie would let us go out for a couple of beers in Cardiff on a Saturday night. And everyone would be out. It wouldn't be 5 lads out, Cody. It'd be everyone. And that sort of just, and it all stemmed from there, mate. And then obviously when it's going well on the pitch, you know, that makes everything better, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're talking about the England-Wales rivalry. I remember, I mean, a bit oblivious to it. Like, you know, it's us Englishmen are like, it's just whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if you played in the game. We beat Wales 1-0 at Cardiff. I scored.
Yeah, I played.
And I can differ like nothing. And I went to Cardiff for a night out about 6 months later to an Oasis concert. Just these three geezers, mate, come up to me, right? Like, first of all, I didn't understand what they were saying, right? And I was like,
they wouldn't have
tapped me on
understood
the shoulder, and I'm at the bar. And it's late because I was on it. I was drinking, and I was lagging. Knocked on, and they said something, man. And he was like, will you show your face here? And I've just had to go. I just went full charm offensive. Hello, young man. What can I do for you? I've got. Oh, that game. Don't worry about it. I didn't want to score that one. You were the better side that day. We got lucky. You're much better side. And by the end of the night,
couple of drinks, lads.
Bought them a couple of drinks. I thought, I'm getting out of this place. Bought them a couple of drinks. Ended up having the drinks with them. But my best mates at the end of the night, they were going to fill me in. But like, the rivalry. So going into that game against England, talk to me. How did you boys? Was it like in English fast? Not English.
Nah.
Was it a bit of that?
Nothing too much like that. Like I said, we didn't really speak about it, and then obviously the questions are going to get asked and that. And I think Gaz Bale and Rambo had done a couple of like interviews, and they asked Gaz like how many of the English team would get in this current Welsh team or something like that, and Gaz went none. It's a stupid question. Do you know what I mean? Guy, what's he going to say? Like, not naming names. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he went none, and then that then the press got on it and blah de blah, and we never spoke about it, Cody. Do you know what I mean? We had won the first game, so we knew we were in a good position. Like I said, a phenomenal team playing England, and it was just, I hate to say it, mate, it was just another game. Do you know what I mean? It was, and that's the way we looked at it. Didn't go our way. I remember I was on the bench, and it was 1-1. I think Gaz has scored a free kick, and Jamie Vardy's got one. And then was it Danny Welbeck or Daniel Sturridge scored? The last thing I remember, Cody, right, is Gary Neville, assistant at the time, sprinting past our bench and doing a full-blown like half sprint down to celebrate with the lads in the corner. And you can imagine me, Cody. I was fuming, mate. Yeah, I was gone with it. Do you know?
Did you tell him?
I don't think I could get near him, to be honest. I don't think the lads were letting me get near him. But no, nothing like that. Just do you know, it was one of them. It was like fair enough. Like it's probably an equal game. A draw would have been more than acceptable for both teams. And he's ran past our bench waving his arms, mate. I was fuming. And like you say, and the beauty about our squad at the time was we got in the dressing room. Cookie said his bits and bobs, mate, and that was gone. That was put to bed, and we was on to the next one because we still knew if we beat Russia that we'd top the group. Yeah. So and we went on and done that, and then like I say, what went on from there was absolutely the best time of my career. Spending it with lads that not just that I was teammates, but lads that I generally enjoyed my time with.
Mate, you know, it's so nice to hear, Ginge, because you know, I used to love going away with England. Like, forget all that. So like, just playing for your country is the pinnacle, ain't it?
Yeah, of course.
Like, you know, I hope the lads. I think they do. I hope the lads. Yeah, I think feel that way now.
I think that looking at England now, I think you get more of that vibe. Do you know what I mean? Certainly from when you boys, you know, I was looking from afar, but when you boys were playing, it was this talk of like the north-south divide and lads, you know, not really speaking in that. You know, it mind boggles me. Do you know what I mean? You're playing for your country. You should be doing everything in your powers together to get results. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're successful, you know what I mean? Imagine you boys had gone on and won the Euros or the World Cup as a team, which you probably should have looking at your team, Cody, shouldn't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, it's the best. I go back to him, but Cookie was massive, especially for me. I was probably a bit older. I was probably I think I was 32 at the time, and I knew, sort of going into it, I knew I wasn't going to play much part in the actual tournament. And obviously, I had a young family at the time, so I didn't overly enjoy the whole experience of playing international football. I loved the games and the training and that, but I struggled a bit with with being away from my family. I'm always obviously a family man, and just the times in the hotel and that, Cody. Do you know what I mean? It got to an end where sort of the game was changing. Mate, I was knocking on hotel doors for a beer, and they was all playing the PlayStation. And I didn't know what to do with myself. But that's certainly the Euros, mate. Best time of my life by an absolute country mile.
Right, every week, Ginge, me and the big man, when he turns up for work, we do the predictions. Now we get our guests on, and we have it's me against the guests against Tom. He's having to text these results in at the moment, but last week I got a clean sweep, 3 out of 3, which is probably one of the like. I'm in the lead. I'm not going to blow my own trumpet, but I think I'm in the lead. So if I give you 3 games, Ginge, you just tell me who do you think's going to win or draw, and you get a point each.
Don't need a score. Don't need a score prediction, no.
Don't need a score. You can throw it in if you want to put extra swaz on it. It's up to you. Right. So this obviously far away. I ain't got a Scooby. It's international weekend, so I ain't got a Scooby on some of these teams. Right. Scotland against Austria, Thursday night. What we thinking?
1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Okay. I'm gonna go with Scotland. I fancy. I just and Coral odds. Shay Adams, first goal scorer, 5-1 on his debut. The new Scottish centre forward. What do you make of all that? Being a true Welshman, you know. I know we didn't allude to it, but you know when you get like players, we did it a couple of times with like Owen Hargreaves coming over to play for England.
Yeah.
You know, he's English heritage, but not. Did it happen at Wales? We got lads who.
Mate, we had a point under John Toshak where I think people were having sandwiches in Bridge End services and getting a cap for Wales at one point. I think if you crossed the bridge at one point, John Toshak was on the phone asking if you could play for Wales. But mate, we've had plenty over the years.
There was a couple. I remember there was one fella who said, I can't remember what it might have been. Vinnie Jones said he owned a Tom Jones album once, so it made him eligible to play for Wales.
The thing is, Big Vinny played for, I think he played 4 or 5 times for Wales. He turns up on Harry's Heroes thing the other day, playing for England. It was like, like managing them or helping them. Do you know what I mean? I was like, what's going on here?
Mate, it's a fluid world we live in, Ginge.
Mate, honestly.
2021. All right, okay, second one. The big one. Albania versus England. I know I ain't got a Danny LaRue about Albania, so go on, what are you thinking?
I'll go. Albania, England will be 5-0 England.
Oh, you gone bold there, Ginge.
You'd like to think so against Albania, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but well, I don't know anything. So I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go England win 5-0. Go on, the boys. Now, last game, your boys. Wales are 2-1 to qualify for the World Cup and 151 to win the World Cup outright. I think Coral are taking a right liberty there. I think you could put an extra 0 on that. Sorry, Ginge.
I was going to say.
That's proper stingy, Coral.
Come on, you give me those odds, Coley, and I'll have 100 quid on it.
I would want to take your money, mate. Wales at home to Czech Republic. What do you reckon?
I would go for a 2-1 Wales win.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Czech Republic are decent.
Yeah, decent team.
They're a decent side. Yeah. You've got
they've got 2 West Ham boys.
2 West Ham boys. Souček, I'm a big fan of. I'm going to go with draw.
Oh, yeah?
I think it'll be a draw, yeah.
In Cardiff.
Is it? Yes, in Cardiff.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, it's modern football. I just think without the fans in home and away, it doesn't matter. Like, a little bit of travel.
To be fair, going back to it, our home fans, mate, Wales were huge.
Unbelievable,
huge
mate.
For us.
I played Cardiff. We played a cup final. My first cup final against Liverpool in Cardiff with a roof off.
Yeah, unreal,
best atmosphere ever, mate.
Do you know what? All the
roof
fans,
on, sorry. The
roof on. Yeah. All the fans loved it, mate, because you've never been in a stadium like it, where you literally walk out of Cardiff, the Millennium Stadium at the time, and it's like you're in Benidorm, mate. You're straight onto St Mary Street in Cardiff, and it is carnage.
Yeah.
So I think
I can vouch for that, mate. I love my nights out in Cardiff. I've only had a couple, but
I think that's why all the boys and sort of the fans used to love playing the cup finals in Cardiff, and like some of my best nights out have been going to watch Wales at the Millennium Stadium, Cody. Do you know what I mean? It's there's something about those Welsh people, mate.
Yeah, mate. Listen, salt of the earth. Anyway, Ginge, love you, fella. It's been a pleasure,
mate, Coley. Love you, mate.
And I'll see you for a pint soon, I'm sure.
Definitely, mate. Can't wait.
You've been watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.